haere mai nā manuhiri tuarangi, hei wakamana nā rangatira, o nā tohu waka ko whakahira-hira, nei Mauria mai nā mate hei whāri ki tia te kaupapa nei Whakatau mai, whakatau mai, whakatau mai rā.
Tihei Mauri ora. Tau mai rā te Mauri o Mahuru erere nei i te rangi. E tohu nei te koanga me te tīmatanga hou. Tau mai rā te Mauri o Ohua. E tautau nei i te rangi. E tohu nei he rāpai tēnei mo te ono kai. Tau mai rā te Mauri ki runga rā ki tēnei hui huinga. He Mauri ai o nuku, he Mauri ai o rangi. Tēnei te Mauri ka whakataki nā. Pauhihiko paurarama. Ti aho i roto, marama i roto. Hui te marama, hui te ora. Tūturu ka whakamau ai kia tina, tina. Haumi e, hui e, tai ki e.
Te aroha, te whakapono, me te rangi mari e tātou, tātou e.
Tihei Mauri ora. Tihei wini wini, tihei wana wana. Tihei ki te maramataka Māori, tihei Mauri ora. Tangihia ranga ma te huhua o te tau. Tangihia ranga ma te o ngā moka katoa o te ao. Ko whetūrangi nei hoki rātau mā kia rātau, tihei Mauri mate, tihei Mauri ora. Ka tie ngā iwi o ngā tai e whakapiripiri mai, tūhonohono mai. Tūhonohono mai rā ki tā tātou kaupapa whakahirahira. Tūhono mai rā ki te kaupapa tuku taonga ki ngā kaiako whakahirahira o te tau, o roto te wāhanga kuratua toru o Aotearoa. Tūhono mai rā i runga i te reo pōhiri o ako Aotearoa me te minita o te mātauranga, te minita hoki o te ārai kōwhiori hoki. Nā reira e te honore Chris Hipkins, tēnā rā koe i tuku mai nei koe i ngā kōrero whakanui a te kāwanatanga. Tēnā hoki koe te honore Premier Jacinda Ardern. Ko rangatira te kaupapa nei a koe. Ko tāngia nei hoki tō waitohu ki te tohu matua. E whawhai nei hoki koe kia noho haumaru ai tātou katoa. E ngā pokapū mātauranga hoki o te kāwanatanga, tēnā rā koutou e hāpai nei i tēnei kaupapa. Ko te tāhuhu o te mātauranga tēnā. Ko te amorangi mātauranga matua tēnā. Ko te mana tohu mātauranga o Aotearoa tēnā. Ka taka mai hoki ki ngā whare wānanga auraki, whare wānanga Māori, whare takiura, whare mahi, whare whakangungu, i tono mai rā i ngā ingoa o ngā kaiako whakamiharo. Ka hoki whakaroto mai ki tō mātou puari, ki te rūnanga Māori, ki te rūnanga o te moana nui a Kiwa, ki te Academy hoki, ka mihi ake tēnā tātou katoa. Heoi anō ko ngā tāngata e tika ana me tino whakanui te rānei, ko ngā kaiako tonu. I tonoa mai rā hoki a rātau tono, ko rātau nei I whakapau kaha, I tino aro ake nei kia rātau akonga, kia angitu ai rātau. I te mutunga iho ko ngā akonga, te tino pūtake o a rātau nā mahi, o a tātou nei mahi. Nā reira ngā mihi nui I whakahara katoa kia koutou, ngā kaiwhiwhi tohu o te rānei, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko te whakatau ki a akoa o te aroa, nā āheitanga a mātauranga, ko angitu a akonga. Nā reira huri noa, tēnei te mihi ake kia tātou katoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. Kāti, ka huri atu ki te manu ti ori mo te kīnaki o aku kōrero. Mawera e taurima te marae wahonei ma te tika ma te pono me te aroha e.
Kei aku marae kura, kai aku whatukura. Koutou ko hono mai a ipurangi ki tēnei hui whakanui te ekenga o ngā kaiako ki te taumata tike. Papaki kauana ngā tai o mihi ki a tātou katoa. I te tuatahi me mihi ka tika ki a koe Joe, nau tō tātou hui I whakatūwhera ki ngā kupu ki te atua. Oti rā ki a koe a nōhoki mai, I tō karanga ki a mātou, tēnā kōrua. Me mihi hoki ki a rātou ko tau atu ki te pai o mahara. Tō iri ana te au o te mamai I tō rātou narohaka atu ki tua o te pai o mahara. He mamai e kore e mutu. No reira kei ngā rā koutou matua oki mai. Kia tātou ngā waihotanga o rātou mā, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko te tūmanako e noho haumaru ana koutou I te rai o puke ora. He uri tēnei no te tai rāwhiti e whakapāho ana ki a koutou I tēnei ahiahi. Whitu matarau, awatere, maunga kāka, orotua, he mokopuna tēnei no hunāra, no tūwhakairi ora, no hine rupe, no Ngāti Poraua no hoki. Kei te mihi, kei te mihi. I'd like to welcome you all, wherever you may be in the world, to the 2021 National Tertiary Teaching Excellence Awards. My name is Karen Paringatai, and I'm Associate Professor in Te Tumu, the School of Māori, Pacific and Indigenous Studies at the University of Otago, where I'm speaking to you from today. I have the privilege of once again being the MC for these awards, and it's my absolute honour to do so on behalf of Ako Aotearoa, who is committed to supporting New Zealand's tertiary teachers, trainers and educators to be the best they can be to enhance learner success. Sitting alongside Ako Aotearoa are the Ako Aotearoa Board, Te Runanga Māori, and the Pacific People's Caucus, and I'd like to acknowledge their support in providing advice on the governance and strategic direction of Ako Aotearoa. These awards were first brought online in September 2020 because of the uncertainty of COVID at that time. And it would seem the COVID gods have conspired against us. And once more, we are forced to present these awards online. Whilst there's something special about being able to do this in person, this online platform also brings about many benefits, not least of all the opportunity for people all around the world to connect in and to watch, and for each of the award winners to be surrounded by whānau, friends, colleagues and students, something that wasn't possible when these awards were held in person at Parliament where numbers were limited. Since 2001, these awards have recognised more than 230 of New Zealand's top tertiary teachers. And today we get to celebrate and acknowledge the achievements of another 9 outstanding teachers from a range of disciplines and tertiary institutions throughout the entire country. But first, let me cover a few housekeeping matters. For your information, this event is being recorded on Zoom. It's also being live streamed on Ako Aotearoa's YouTube account. Our chat system is up and running, so if you have messages for the recipients or the organisers, then please send them through. And just a gentle reminder that these messages will be visible to everyone connected in. This event is also being run as a webinar, which means that some people are connected as panelists and some as viewers only. So not everyone who is watching is able to be seen by the recipients. But we know, and they know, that you are there. And we thank you for connecting in. And please do send through a message if you wish. This also means that we can't hear you until our IT specialist unmutes you. So there will be a couple of occasions where that will happen, and we will do that. And when we do that, there will be a cue for everyone to go crazy with your round of applause. Now, this is obviously not the usual way these awards are done, but in these uncertain times, we must do what's best for the health and safety of all of us connecting in today. It would also be remiss of us to go ahead with these awards in person and put the Honourable Chris Hipkins, the Minister of Education and the Minister for COVID Response, in a precarious position to attend in person, given the immense pressure he's under at the moment. But we were able to get him to spare some time to record a couple of videos, the first of which we'll play now.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. And my warmest greetings to all of you from the tertiary sector who are participating today, wherever you are, and to your friends and the whānau who are supporting you. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to be part of the Ako Aotearoa Tertiary Teaching Excellence Awards once again. This is a time when we honour outstanding teachers and teaching practice in the tertiary sector. Last year, like many events, you had to go online for your ceremony as a result of the uncertainties caused by COVID-19. This year you made the choice to do that again, going with the online format just in case. Well, it turns out that that was a pretty smart choice. This might not fit the traditional idea of an awards ceremony. In this Zoom age, I don't expect to see many gowns and bow ties. But last year's awards did show a more intimate side of academic life. It was great to see Dr. Rhys-Jones accept his Prime Minister's award with his family around him, quite literally sitting on the couch next to him. I'm sure that the shared moment will be one for them to treasure over the years. Families commit so much in supporting each other in their successes, but usually only one member gets to stand on the stage and receive the plaudits. Last year we provided what could be seen as perhaps a more equitable moment, one we might see again tonight. That said, I'm confident that this is not the new normal. Our own recent history shows it is possible to run events and enjoy each other's company in person, even in the face of a global pandemic. While it's clearly far from over and there's a lot of risk that remains, the strong support of the global community of academics, scientists, researchers and the medical profession means that the world's steadily pushing back against the disease. I think we'll all look back and see the spread at which this global community reacted to the research and to produce a range of effective vaccines as perhaps a miracle of the modern age. And it's a demonstration of our ability as humans to adapt to new challenges. Last year you faced the challenges of moving largely from classroom-based teaching to online teaching almost overnight. This year there have been new challenges with large influxes of students in many areas, while others face difficulties due to changing learner demands and the ongoing absence of international students. You've been through a lot, and that's why it's important to me to be involved in events that celebrate the excellence of our tertiary system and the skills of teachers like you that success has been built on. Because I know the contribution that you make to our community, even if it's not always recognised by the wider public until a crisis happens. Producing people who can think deeply and critically, analyse and act in such situations, it's one of the vital contributions that you make to a society. I'm not just talking about the pandemic. I'm talking about all spheres, because there are always new issues and challenges to be overcome in every field of human endeavour, and lessons to be learned and knowledge to be imparted. These awards are for sustained excellence. I don't think we should think about sustained just in terms of time. In this context, we should also think about it in terms of the breadth of academic teaching. That's why I'm delighted to see teaching excellence represented across a diverse range of disciplines tonight. Fine arts, computing, management, music, biology, philosophy, and others, all are equally important to a rich and healthy modern society. So my request to you is to keep going. It is an uncertain time, but your contribution is vital for your students and for your country. In closing, I want to thank Ako Aotearoa for the most significant amount of dedication and the work that you've put into managing these awards. And to the awards panel, who no doubt faced some pretty difficult decisions, I particularly want to recognise Dr. Graham Benny, the chair of Ako Aotearoa, and Director Helen Lomax. To all the awardees, congratulations. To all of your families, your whānau, and your colleagues who provided that support, thank you to them for helping to contribute to your success. I wish you all the best and hope that you enjoy the rest of this unique celebration of tertiary teaching excellence. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Hutia terito, hutia terito te harakeke. Kaya te ko mako e ko, ki mai ki au. He aha te mea nui, he aha te mea nui, o te ao. Maku e ki atu. E tangata hi.
Now's the time we've all been waiting for, where we get to celebrate and hear from all of our awardees. All of today's recipients are outstanding teachers who contribute to learner success that reaches far beyond the classroom and their students. Their influence also extends to their colleagues, to the wider institution, and to communities both here in New Zealand and overseas. And it was quite easy to see in the comments from graduate students the impact you have each had in their careers. What amazed me the most when reading the portfolio was the range of different disciplines that each of today's recipients come from. No two are the same. They have all shown the selection panel that they're not only passionate about their discipline, but instill that same passion and enthusiasm in their students. The evidence and the voices of their students, colleagues, and wider communities certainly echoed what I read about each of them. The Tertiary Teaching Excellence Awards are presented across two categories: the general category for sustained excellence in tertiary teaching, and the Kaupapa Maori category for sustained excellence in tertiary teaching in a Kaupapa Maori context. Let us begin with the Kaupapa Maori category. And today we have two awardees who we're acknowledging in this section. Our first recipient, Dr. Oti Rakena, comes to us from Auckland University, where he is a senior lecturer in the School of Music. Te Oti has the unenviable task of creating a space within classical music performance for the Māori and Pacific voice to not only take up residence, but to soar to new heights. A task he was destined to do following in the footsteps of his father, who guided the decolonising of the modern church by articulating an Indigenous understanding of the gospel. Now, what better trailblazing role model to have to guide you on your own decolonising mission? Students flock to the University of Otago to study voice with Te Oti, to learn to be an opera singer. He helps them find their voice in a multitude of ways, and in doing so, Te Oti helps nurture singing storytellers, a simple but endearing description of what Te Oti's purpose is. Many Māori and Pacific students are first in families and also bring with them an extended whānau network whose fears for their children are soon alleviated by Te Oti. As one parent wrote, "Joy has been ours when our son enlightens us with stories and the experiences of Dr. Te Oti Rakena's teachings. The concerns parents have for the safety, well-being and success of our children, we have witnessed Dr. Rakena having for our son. We never feel inferior, nor do we feel intimidated to ask questions or make comments before him." So please join me in congratulating our first recipient of the afternoon, who has also been awarded a Pacific endorsement, Dr. Te Oti Rakena.
E ngā rau rangitirama, tēnā koutou katoa. He mihi tēnei ki ngā hoamahi huihuinga i te kaupapa o tēnei rā. He mihi tēnei ki e ako Aotearoa. He mihi tēnei Karen. Ngā toki matawhārua rātou ko Aotea ko takitumu oku waka. Nō reira, te whānau, uri o maunga taniwha, uri o maunga taranaki, uri o maunga tamatia, huihuinga waiata mai. Thank you for the opportunity to acknowledge the people who have contributed to this moment. I would like to firstly acknowledge the team from the University of Auckland who supported the development and submission of my application for this award, especially Claire Walters, Heather Merrick, Bridget Fox, and John Morrow for his invaluable advice. I'd also like to acknowledge my Māori and Pacific colleagues who nudged me to proceed when I was feeling slightly whakamā, Elena Taupaki Curtis, Tracy McIntosh, Jeremy Hemmer, and Emma Wolfgram Foliaki. I would like to acknowledge all my students, present and past, and their families who came forward to support this application, and also acknowledge Tuirina Wehi for letting me use Aio, and Matiu Kiriama for creating the digital version of my studio story. Aroha nui kia korua. I would also like to thank Ako Aotearoa for celebrating teaching and providing the opportunity for all of us to pause in the doing and reflect on what we have done. It has allowed me to revisit past students and their families, and for us to share stories, experiences, and sing together again, metaphorically and figuratively. Nō reira, he mihi tino nui ki a koutou katoa mo tō koutou tautoko.
O te ataku waka ko tipua o rangi te tata. Te hoe ko koutu ki te rangi ngā tai e waru.
Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
A ripo ana ngā wai o te hokianga nui a kupe. Rere ana ngā roma wai o tangahoi. Ka napa mai ana te whakaraupo o te rāpaki o te raki whakaputa. 3 different bodies of water, 3 different sounds combined together to create you, their own unique symphony. You are a true champion of those who don't usually see themselves in the world of classical music. You create a safe space. You are their safe space. Ka hahana te rongo i a mātou e noho nei. He rongo nōhia e marama, he kurahuna. Tēnā koe Te Oti. Congratulations. I am not here to say the Māori way is the best or only way to think about business, but what Te Ao Māori offers is a human-centered, holistic, relational way of thinking about and understanding business, management, and organisation. Our second recipient this afternoon, Associate Professor Diane Ruwhiu from the Department of Management and the Otago Business School at the University of Otago, clearly sets out her intentions from the very beginning about the contribution Mātauranga Māori can make in a system not designed for it, and teaches ways in which those disparate systems can collaborate for the better. Her confidence in doing so stems from her father, who had an enthusiasm for understanding the world around him, but grew up with an education system that failed him. Diane wonders if he'd seen himself, his identity, his language in the classroom, what might he have experienced? And because of that, Diane is driven by the knowledge that her teaching means Māori students can see themselves and their potential in the business world. I proudly get to call her my colleague and friend here at Otago. Please join me in congratulating Associate Professor Diane Ruwhiu.
Well, kia ora koutou. E mihi ana ki te rangi, e mihi ana ki te whenua, e mihi ana ki a koutou e roto i ngā tini ahutanga o te wā. He koro mā, kuia mā, ngā rangatira mā ki te mihi. Ko manga kahi e tako awa, e raro e te maru o te maunga te traorehiri. He uri ahau ngō ngāpui, raua ko ahi te reiria, ke te ohu au ke otipoti. Nō reira tātou, e hui hui nei, I kia ora tātou katoa. I'd like to acknowledge and thank Aotearoa and the panelists for this recognition, and to also congratulate the other award winners. I also need to acknowledge the team and colleagues who supported this application form from Otago, particularly Clinton Golding, Michelle Thompson-Fawcett, and Suzanne Pitama and Anne-Marie Jackson. Look, as all of us are aware, it's never just about the one person. And so I dedicate this award to all of the people who have supported, loved, guided, challenged, and even sometimes lovingly pushed me on my journey to this moment. To my whānau, to my wonderful husband, Lyndon, your support and love has never wavered, even when on occasion I may have overreacted a little bit. Whether I've had great days or days where things just never went right, you've always provided that support, insight, and care to whatever it might be I'm in a big flap about. I acknowledge my mum, Margaret, and my late dad, Fred, who just loved us unconditionally and completely. And my sisters and I are who we are today because of you. Ooh. To my sisters, Kylie and Donna, you are incredible role models and mentors with a dash of scary thrown in. You are my wahine toa. My colleagues, I'm so lucky to work with amazing people whose steadfast support and encouragement has made it possible to bring the potential of Māori knowledges, values, principles, and practices to our teaching in a way that respects and acknowledges the richness and applicability of Māori approaches to business today. I also want to call out to Te Kaupapa Maori, Otago's Māori Academic Staff Caucus, an incredible community who works to advance Māori research and teaching excellence at Otago. A final thanks to those students who come to my classes and give it a go. Learning about a different social cultural lens, which is also a living history, can be as confronting as it is inspirational. I learn so much from my student community, and it is a privilege to be a part of their learning journey. I am committed to ensuring that our Māori and non-Māori business school graduates are exposed to, inspired by, and challenged with Māori perspectives of business. I am heartened by the knowledge that our Māori students can see themselves, see their language, and see their potential in our business curriculum. I am so excited to see where and how far we can push that waka. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Maranga mai e te iwi,
O nā hapu ngā pui, kia mau ki au, kia pui ai, ki ngā akoranga nui. Maranga mai e te iwi, o ngā hapu ngā pui, kia mau ki au, kia pui ai, ki ngā akoranga nui. Lots of love, Di. Well done. We're all really proud of you. Just be who you are. Be honest and act with integrity. Such wise words given to you by your dad, Diane, that has enabled you to be the change needed within the business school and within the University of Otago. Just be who you are, be honest and act with integrity, which I know is exactly who you are, even when you are not overreacting. E te uri o rāhiri, ko koe te whakatinanatanga o ngā wawata o tō pāpa, oti rā o tō whānau. Me whakahihi koe katika. Congratulations, Diane. We now move on to those who submitted portfolios under the general category and acknowledge the awardees here today. When I first read what was required in this course, I thought it was stupid. All that time and effort you put into carefully planning a course and the student feedback you get is that. I thought it was stupid. Now, at first glance, any teacher confronted with this type of response would be immediately deflated. However, this was only part of the feedback that then went on to describe how much they actually enjoyed the task. Now, the student could have just omitted the first part of their comment, but first impressions count. And I have no doubt our first recipient in the general category, Professor Tim Cooper, who is the head of the School of Arts and Professor in Theology at the University of Otago, would have appreciated such honesty. Tim has a passion for history, making sense of one's own experiences relative to the past and the innumerable life-changing riches the past brings into the present. His passion for such is one that, as one student put it, is infectious in a good way, not a Delta variant way. I found in Tim's portfolio the most endearing statement by one of his students that goes, I hope you realize how in your job, doing it so well, you influence lives. I think I would love to teach one day. If I'm lucky enough to do that, I will model myself on your example. There can be no doubt about the impact of Tim's teaching on others. So please join me in congratulating Professor Tim Cooper.
Kia ora, Karen. Tēnā koutou katoa. At a moment like this, I just feel deeply grateful to a surprising number of people. I'm very grateful to the panel, the awards panel, who I'm sure devoted a great deal of time and care and attention to reading all of our portfolios and felt that they could include me among the winners. Thank you. Grateful to the many, many people who have supported me over my teaching career. Not least my family and not least my wife, Kate, who all have supported me as I've sought to teach and develop my career and invest in my students. Grateful for my colleagues in the theology program here at Otago who modelled excellent teaching and care for students and set such an excellent environment for me to step into. Grateful to the many individuals over the years who have invested in my teaching and invested in me here at the University of Otago. Key leaders in the Division of Humanities here and in the university who have trusted me with roles that have helped me to develop my interest and passion in teaching and even quality assurance. So grateful to those who helped me prepare my portfolio and improve it and sharpen it, not least Quinton Golden. And above all to my students who over the years have provided a generous hospitable, fun community of learning, gave me the space to make mistakes, to learn from those, to experiment and to grow in my teaching. I'm so grateful to them. E hara taku toa I te toa takitahi, Enari he toa takatini. My strength is not that of an individual, but of a collective. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that sustained teaching excellence is not a matter of individual giftedness, but of interconnected community and support and opportunity. So I sincerely appreciate this moment. Thank you, and I share it with all those many people who have helped to make it possible. Thank you all.
Tim, you profess to steadfastly offer your students the gift of time and attention, that you have a genuine regard for the depth and complexity of every human person, and encourage and affirm your students whenever you can. As someone who has received your time and attention on a number of occasions, I know that your professions are very much true. We, your colleagues in humanities, thank you for your passion for teaching and for making our own practice better in the process. Congratulations, Tim.
Sure.
It's rare to find passionate advocates for Māori and Pacifica students in sciences who have the humility to acknowledge their weaknesses in this space, but the determination to upskill in order to bring demonstrable change amongst this cohort of students. But that's what you get when you send your daughters to a kura kaupapa Māori. You have no choice but to leap into the unknown, doing so with a greater purpose in mind, especially when you're not a Māori language speaker yourself. Our second recipient in the general category is Dr. Brendan Dunphy, a senior lecturer in the School of Biological Sciences at the University of Auckland, where he aspires to adequately address mātauranga Māori as it relates to biology within the tertiary curriculum, in order to do justice to both ways of knowing, whilst protecting the mana and integrity of both. Using his experiences as a struggling learner, whose own academic progress took some time, he ensures that students like him realise that it's okay not to be perfect, that it's okay to fall over, and that not everyone is born an A+. But with a lot of hard work, we can all become A+. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Brendan Dunphy.
Tēnā koutou katoa, he mihi nui ki a koutou mō tēnei puhu. Kia ora. Hi there, I'm Brendan. It's a very easy sort of speech to make. It's a list of gratitude for everybody that's helped me through my career and in my teaching. Firstly, I'd just like to acknowledge Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. It was there that I experienced the first time I experienced this thing called pedagogy and this different way of teaching, and it was really opened my eyes to a lot of techniques that I've used still to this day. But I'd like to also acknowledge, as you said, Karen, the kura, te kura kaupapa Maori o ngā maunga rongo, and particularly te ahu mātua, a way of learning there that I felt way out of my depth. And the only word I had was kia ora, and so they graciously accepted me and showed me this beautiful way of learning and student-centeredness learning in practice. Also acknowledge, of course, Ako Aotearoa for ensuring that the quality of teaching throughout this country remains high and supports us in that journey of ours and that aspect that we hope to achieve. But particularly, I'd like to thank my students who, as many of the speakers have said here today, they shape us, and from them we learn so much as long as our eyes are open and we're prepared to listen. And so to them, I thank them. Particularly Mina Welford, who has supported me and I've supported her, and we've had quite a nice little symbiotic relationship going on and just helping each other out through this university, and I'm very grateful to her support as well. I'd like to also acknowledge the Tuakana program and my teaching colleagues just for great discussions around teaching practice and ways to improve. And also John Morrow's team at the university who shaped my portfolio and put a lot of effort and time to that, so I really appreciate that. Finally, I'd just like to thank my own whānau, my mother and my father, who both, education for us was very important, and it was a non-negotiable that we'd go to university. And I see now that that's very lucky to have. I'd also like to thank my own daughters, my little puti, Ella and Beth, and lastly, my wife, Kath, who supported me in all of this, but also, as I was writing my portfolio, just kept saying to me, tell your story. Don't write your CV, tell your story. And I took that on, and I really appreciate her support and her sometimes honest and frank advice there. And so thank you. Kia ora.
Mau ngā rongo ki te rangi, mau ngā rongo ki te whenua, mau ngā rongo ki ngā tangata katoa. Mai kore te kura kaupapa Māori o mau ngā rongo, me tā rātou whai I te aho matua, hei tauira mau mo tētahi huarahi whakakorereke. As someone who quit science in the 5th form, but as someone who is an avid kapahaka practitioner, I wonder if biology might actually have been my calling if I had someone like yourself, Brendan, who would have allowed me to dance my way through the curriculum. Me kore koe e hoa. Congratulations.
Kia ora.
Hannah Joint, a senior lecturer in the College of Creative Practice and Enterprise at Otago Polytechnic, is our 3rd recipient in the general category. Where last year's lockdown created angst for many, having to move all our teaching online at a moment's notice, one would think that teaching creative practices online would be an insurmountable task and enough to send anyone running for the hills. But Hannah was still able to generate creative energy amongst her students that led to learners' success, many of whom could not sing of her praises highly enough, especially noting that her efforts to foster a functioning and inspiring class involving physical media during lockdown was something miraculous and very much appreciated. Perseverance is a trait of Hannah's that she instills in her students. As one said, if something is unsuccessful, she makes us do it again, then do it again and again. Perseverance that results in the production of something that one can be truly proud of. As one student commented, creative artistic talent is a skill that can be taught and learned, not a God-given gift, as I'd always believed. Who knew? Who knew it was possible to be creative and artistic? Please join me in congratulating Dr. Hannah Joint.
Oh, kia ora koutou. My face hurts because I'm smiling so much this whole ceremony. But look, it's a huge honour to be the recipient of this award. So thank you to the panel for selecting me. I'm just thrilled, and this recognition is deeply rewarding on so many levels. I have many people that I would like to thank and acknowledge, because it is the community, it's the whānau, it's the colleagues and the students that are part of the fabric that have helped me achieve this recognition. So in no particular order, to all of my students, past and present, I have learned so much from you. You have taught me as much as I have taught you, so thank you. To my colleagues at the School of Design, Te Marupu Manawa, the College of Creative Practice and Enterprise, thank you. Thank you for making our workplace this beautiful place to come to on a day-to-day basis. I'm very lucky to work here. To my institution, Otago Polytech, I'm very grateful and proud to be an employee at Otago Polytech, and thank you for all the opportunities and support you've given me that I've benefited from over the last 14 years of teaching here. I'd also like to acknowledge the greater ITP sector, being the only recipient from a Polytech, and a few special mentions to finish. To Dr. Maxine Alterio, thank you. Thank you for your wisdom, for your guidance and your preparation in my portfolio. You taught me to write, you really did. So I'm so grateful for that. To Caroline Terpstra, my former leader for many, many years, your ongoing support and leadership on my journey as an educator has been really inspirational, and you're such a role model to me, Caroline, so thank you. To Professor Jane Venus, my immediate team member and friend, I can't sing your praises enough. You're amazing. You're such a role model to me and a mentor, and I'm incredibly lucky to work alongside you, Jane, so thank you. And finally, Thank you to my whānau, my friends, my mum and dad, I know you're watching, to my partner Shane, thank you, to Granny, to my siblings, all of you are inspirations, and the love and support you give me, I'm so grateful for, and helps me to go on in this journey. So, ka mihi nui kia koutou.
I'm surprised Jane isn't there with her her ukulele to sing your song. Oh, you've muted her.
Happy mai api atu, tato tato. No ukulele.
You should be in there. You should be in there. Hannah, even in dire circumstances, you're revered amongst your students and colleagues as someone who is passionate, honest, and inspiring. That every day you go into the classroom excited to teach and excited to learn from your students. The true definition of ako. You stated that in the art and design studio context, learning is often experimental, intuitive, spontaneous, and messy. A description of learning that I think can be applied to any discipline. Once again, Hannah, congratulations. Very rarely do you read a portfolio that takes your breath away in both design and content. In the most visually stunning portfolio I have ever seen, Dr. Richard Lobb, an adjunct senior fellow in the Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering at the University of Canterbury, clearly demonstrates the national and international impact his teaching and software expertise has had on the teaching of computer coding. Students learn computer programming best by doing programming. Therefore, their knowledge of programming should be assessed by doing programming. But 15 years ago, this was not the case, which is when Code Runner came to fruition. Richard developed Code Runner, a teaching and assessment system that allows students to write code, which is then run through a series of tests to see if what they've written actually works with instant feedback given. Now, that's a no-brainer, right? Like, that should just be what we do. But the fact that we're only now testing the waters in regards to digital exams, I think this year NCA exams are going online for this first time. This change 15 years ago is nothing short of amazing. Ironically, the more successful Code Runner becomes as a teaching tool, the less contact Richard has with his students. But his impact is no less. As one student commented, I am extremely grateful for this course as it has shown me a passion I didn't even know I had. Thank you to the people behind this course for opening a door for me and developing a course that kept my attention for hours on end each week. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Richard Lobb.
Right, do I have to speak now? Oh dear. Kia ora koutou. I certainly feel extremely honoured to receive this award. It is particularly exciting to receive such an accolade at this time of my life, given that I actually supposedly retired in 2003. So it's not often that you reach the pinnacle of your career some 18 years after retiring from it. I have lots of thanks to give, and I'm not sure if I can get it all in the time. First, I would like to express my very sincere gratitude to Aotearoa for establishing these awards, and of course for giving me one, but mostly the fact that they're even there is what is so important. Prior to my nominal retirement, I often struggled to balance the demands of research and teaching. My perception at the time, rightly or wrongly, was that research was valued much more highly than teaching, whereas my own inclinations were the other way around. So it wasn't until I had supposedly retired that I was actually able to focus 100% on teaching, and that has proved a wonderfully enjoyable experience. I think that Ako Aotearoa's awards raise the profile and manner of teaching, so I hope that future generations of academics, and the current one in fact, will feel less pressure to focus on research at the expense of teaching. Secondly, I want to thank the University of Canterbury for supporting my somewhat unorthodox style of retirement, and also for the huge amount of support in preparing the portfolio. I must point out that the artwork and everything is not my own, I'm sorry. I would also like to, of course, thank my successive heads of departments and all the wonderful colleagues in the Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering for making the environment so warm, friendly and supportive. I certainly wouldn't still be there if it hadn't been such a great place to work. Having a friendly, supportive environment really is everything in a job. I would like to single out one person. I've tried to avoid too many names in person, but I would like to mention Professor Andy Coburn, who's been my lecturer in the first year programming course for many years. Andy has always been enormously supportive, and it's Andy's encouragement, or possibly the word should be pushing, that got me to apply for a couple of teaching awards, and that culminated in my being here today. So thank you, Andy. Also, Andy should share the credit for many of the teaching innovations which we brought into that first year course. And third, but certainly not in any sense least, it's probably the most important single thing of all, is my thanks to the generations of students whom I've taught. They've been positive and encouraging when my innovations worked, and really surprisingly tolerant and forgiving when they didn't, and that certainly happened. It's been a real joy to share my passion for my subject with students who are so full of energy and enthusiasm for life. And that's what makes teaching so rewarding, and it's what keeps me going in my so-called retirement. Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa.
Whoever did your portfolio, they need a raise. And I feel like they should be doing all the Canterbury applications from now on. There are two further quotes from your students in your portfolio that made me giggle that I want to share with everyone. The first being, and I quote, "I don't give praise lightly. I usually find all manner of flaws, but found nothing to complain about here." Sounds like a very tough customer to please. And secondly, "Richard is a brilliant lecturer, engaging, easy to understand, teaches very well, and keeps everyone awake and interested." I think you know you've nailed this teaching gig when students say, one, they stay awake in your class, and two, they have nothing to moan about. That should be incentive enough to ward off true retirement for just a little bit longer. Congratulations, Richard. The only thing we require to be good philosophers is the faculty of wonder. The way in which we wonder at the musings of philosophers such as Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Locke, Marx, and Machiavelli, for example, is the same way in which students wonder at the teachings of our next recipient in the general category, Dr. Nick Munn, a senior lecturer in philosophy at the University of Waikato. Although some of us here are doctors of philosophy, I don't think we would regard ourselves as professional philosophers. In fact, not many of Nick's students would either. They happen upon his papers by chance, and he lures them in with his infectious enthusiasm for philosophy, the results of which surprise many of them. One student who enrolled in his paper only because a decrease in the number of credits for papers meant that he needed to make up points was a situation he wasn't very happy about, and stated, "It wasn't an area I had studied previously, so not only were my expectations low, I was pissed off. My experience with this paper is so overwhelmingly positive, I am legitimately glad that I enrolled." So again, another situation where they could have just left out the first part of the feedback and just given us all the nice warm fuzzies. Nick teaches students to use philosophical tools to identify and evaluate arguments, to explore how these arguments developed, and to apply these newfound analytical skills to a wide range of other situations. All I can say is, Lord help us if we were ever to cross paths with one of his students. It brings me great pleasure to congratulate today Dr. Nick Munn.
Thank you. It's fantastic to have this opportunity. Thank you to everyone here. To Ako Aotearoa, to the University of Waikato for pushing me, for providing me with a place to work, the chance to do everything that I've got to do. I've had the benefit of having wonderful colleagues, wonderful friends throughout the university who've always been willing to share their knowledge, to help, to talk through teaching, how to do it better, how to work together collaboratively to make this, make all of this do the kinds of things that you want it to do, right? To teach people to learn, to understand, to be so involved and enthused in all of this. And it's fantastic to see that there are so many other people who kind of share that passion, that desire to teach and to like see it in their students. So this whole experience has been fantastic. And I'm glad that I got the chance to be part of it. I'd also just like to thank my family, who I'm pretty sure are watching from the other side of the Great Auckland Divide, and my partner Mel, my daughter Talia, who is probably not watching, but who I'm sure will be glad to hear about it later. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Philosophy literally means the love of wisdom, and it's quite easy to see that you have instilled a love of philosophy in your students, including one who wrote, "I will be the first to admit that I thought this paper was going to be boring. I apologize, I was wrong." It takes a brave student to be so honest about their misgivings and to apologize so openly, a sign of the amount of respect that they have for you. Congratulations, Nick, on your achievements today. Our next recipient is Dr. Latika Samalia, a professional practice fellow in the Department of Anatomy at the University of Otago, where her HOD describes her as a gem, one of a kind, and laments the day when Latika decides that it's time to retire, a day that I think many of her students and colleagues will also rue. Latika uses her understanding of anatomy and her understanding of how students learn to develop new and interesting ways to explain anatomy that aren't your normal science way of teaching. The most intriguing one of which is body painting, where students quite literally paint the inside of their bodies on the outside. Students in anatomy are required to work with cadavers, which is very confronting for many of them, as it could be the first time that they have encountered body parts of a deceased person. Latika is cognizant of each student's cultural backgrounds and how that may influence their comfortability around the cadavers, which then in turn impacts their teaching and learning. As noted by one student who wrote, "I was very apprehensive, but Latika made that easier by taking me through the process and made me feel like I was the only student present." Please join me in congratulating Dr. Latika Samalia, who has also been awarded with a Pacific endorsement.
So I think this is the time I need to speak. So tēnā koutou, Nisa Bula Binaka. Firstly, I'd like to thank Ako Aotearoa panel for this award and thinking that I am a worthy candidate and putting this function on even in this trying time. I would not be here without my supportive colleagues who are all sitting around here, my students and my Department of Anatomy at the University of Otago. I'm very humbled today. I find it difficult at the best of times to say I am a good teacher, but these are the days I'm assured that I am a good teacher and make a difference in the lives of my students. I thank my peers for encouraging me to put my name forward, and one in particular who insisted that I put this name forward and helped me quite a lot is Chris Smith. I can relate to my students. I was there myself, even if it was a long time ago. My students come from several different backgrounds and teach me new things every day and keep me young as well. Learning anatomy and science can be challenging, and we need to provide a friendly, comfortable environment so they have fun and learn from that. I teach in professional courses for professional undergraduate medical doctors, dentists, and physiotherapists. And so I am also in a special position as I age, and I will need medical professional help. And I am sure I will come across one of my students, old students. I saw an example of this about 10 years ago when my dad went through an operation in Middleborough Hospital. After doctors' groups went past for their morning ward rounds, there was at least one in that group who was my old student. And they recognized me. I hope it was fondly. Now I would like to acknowledge my family as well. My husband, my two daughters, who keep on encouraging and supporting me. My sisters who are always with me in tough and fun times, even though they all live in Melbourne. I remember my parents, they would have been very proud today. They both were teachers, and my dad in particular wished for me to be a teacher, but I took a different pathway and qualified as a medical doctor. Several years later, I changed my career and became a teacher at the University of Otago. So parents are always right. My dad was aware that I had changed my career and was very proud of both my careers before he passed away. My parents were also always serving community as well, and that brushed off on us girls in the family. I come from Fiji, and despite being in New Zealand for a longer time than I was in Fiji, I still hold affiliations with my birth country. I have taken time out to teach in the medical schools in Fiji prior to COVID, and I hope one day I will recommence that service. Thanks to my friends for always helping and supporting me. I love teaching, and I wish to continue to improve and learn the new ways of teaching in this new world we are living in. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you.
One thing that impressed me in your portfolio, Latika, was that the letter of support submitted by the Otago University Medical Students Association was endorsed by former presidents dating back every year to 2015. So let's just say that your reach is very widespread. They stated in their letter that your passion and dedication for anatomy, learning and teaching has inspired thousands of medical students, and your impact is remembered by all who are lucky enough to have been taught by you. And you're right, there will come a time where you will need medical support. There can be no greater endorsement of one's teaching than that. Latika, Venaka Vakalevu Nomungungu Matua. Congratulations. There are treasures in pain. An oyster who was not injured will never produce pearls because the pearl is a healed wound. Our next and final recipient is Professor Hazel Tucker from the Department of Tourism in the Otago Business School at the University of Otago. Throughout her portfolio, Hazel describes herself as a cultivator of pearls. Now, pearls are formed inside the shell of certain mollusks as a defense mechanism against a potentially threatening irritant, such as a parasite. The mollusks create a pearl sac around the parasite and seals it off, capturing the irritant inside. Now, I don't know if my science is quite right, so I'm sure one of the scientists out there can correct me if I'm wrong. Wikipedia helped me with that description. Now, what I'm saying is, now I'm not saying that Hazel is a parasite or an irritator, but more of a gentle agitator, slowly stripping away at her students' misconceived perceptions about tourism as historically and ethnically questionable profit-orientated industry. She leads them on a journey of critical awakening and their responsibility as future tourism leaders. As one student stated, if I'd never been here, I would have thought my primary aim as a tourism leader is to make profit, to make money. Now I think it's much more important to share that profit. Complacency is not part of Hazel's vocab, especially when it comes to teaching. Her overhaul of the department's Master of Tourism has had an impact internationally and aligns with Hazel's aim of global citizenship. Her teaching has long-lasting impact and enables a rich tapestry of interconnected international relationships to be activated when needed. Please join me in congratulating Professor Hazel Tucker.
Thank you, Karen. Tēnā koutou katoa. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really exciting to be among the awardees today and to have my teaching recognised in this way. And so I want to begin by thanking the ACO team, both for organising this event and for the great work that you do to celebrate and to highlight the importance of tertiary teaching. I also want to thank the many wonderful people who've supported and inspired me as I've developed as a teacher over the years. And I start by acknowledging my parents in Scotland, who gave me a strong foundation to believe in myself and to have curiosity about the world and to develop an interest in making some kind of difference in the world. And it's those qualities that I really aim to bring to the fore in my teaching. I really enjoy the classroom as a space of collaboration and exchange, where my students and I can further develop our curiosity together and where we can learn to critically reflect on what really matters and what our responsibilities might be in relation to that. So I want to thank all of my past and present students for what they bring to the classroom and acknowledge the way that my students constantly extend my thinking and not just the other way around. I also want to acknowledge my lovely colleagues here at Otago University, both those here in the tourism department. Hello, everyone in the next room. And also the great people in HEDC who play a very important role in supporting teaching across the university. I want particularly to thank my former colleague, Donna Keane, who, while I was co-teaching with her a few years ago, she sparked my interest in encouraging students to reflect on their own positioning in relation to dominant ways of thinking. And I also want especially to thank my former student and now colleague, Dr. Stu Hayes, who during the past few years has helped me reflect on my practice as a teacher and encouraged me to think about the bigger purpose of what I do. For me, teaching is really about providing a space of opening for students to grow and to reflect and to develop new ways of thinking. And it's through that transformational process that I really like to believe in education as ultimately a public good. So I'm motivated by the idea that through our teaching, we contribute to making society and the world a better place. So I want to thank ACO once again for honouring that belief with this award. Kia ora.
Hazel, you have been described as an extremely innovative and brave educator, one who does not settle for simply remaining within the relative safety of her own knowledge, but rather pushes the boundary of what might be for a truly cosmopolitan curriculum. Now, brave is not an adjective that I've read in any of the other portfolios. And yes, I did double check every single portfolio and brave was not there. So thank you for your courage to take a chance on something different. Congratulations, Hazel. That concludes the presentation of the recipients of a 2021 National Tertiary Teaching Excellence Award. I had the pleasure of reading all of your portfolios in preparation for this event, and it was apparent that each and every one of you continually reflect on your practice, make changes when necessary, and go beyond the call of your profession to ensure that your students are challenged, motivated, and supported. Whilst the usual phrases of transformative teaching, producing critical thinkers, and empowering learners appeared in many portfolios, I found the comments by your students and colleagues much more insightful, where they described you as respectful, kind, caring, creative, inspirational, passionate, enthusiastic, and infectious. No one asks in a teaching evaluation, how kind and caring is your teacher? But when many of the comments in your portfolio speak about your character as a person, That shows you have made an impact as a person and not just as a teacher. That's a testament of your value to your students and your colleagues, more than any institutional course evaluation could ever show. I congratulate you all once again for this amazing achievement. So please, everyone available here today, LinkedIn, please give all of our awardees another big round of applause. I think that was one of the times we were meant to be unmuted, but we forgot to practice that. For these awards, applicants are required to submit a portfolio of their teaching, which are then assessed by a panel of teaching experts and external reviewers. And may we thank them all for undertaking this daunting task. I'd especially like to thank Graham Benny for taking on the role as the chair of the awards panel. The quality of the overall nominations clearly supports the view that the New Zealand tertiary teaching sector is fortunate to have professionals teaching with such skill, dedication, and commitment to learners. The panel thank all the nominees for the time and effort they have put into preparing their nominations and encourage them to continue their excellent work. Now, of the 9 people acknowledged this afternoon, the panel chose just one of them to be the overall Prime Minister's Supreme Award winner. I'd like to turn our attention to the second video from Minister Hipkins to announce who that person is.
It gives me great pleasure to announce the Prime Minister's Supreme Award. I know the value of education and its ability to change lives for the better. We have a great example in the contribution the educational community has made into our country's fight against COVID-19. Members of the education community have been a vital part of the advice that I and other ministers have received and that have influenced the critical decisions we've been making. That advice has helped to save lives. It's helped to maintain a quality of life very few other nations have experienced over the last 18 months. Please be in no doubt that the high value that we place on everybody in the education sector. These awards are about more than academic excellence or contribution to a field. They recognise leadership and the way that you create positive impacts on your students and colleagues, your discipline and your communities. Your commitment to your students in the face of many challenges is something that we can all take pride in. A feature of the citation was the level of high empathy all awardees have demonstrated, as well as the creative teaching practice that you've employed. It was critical that you kept going, not just for learners, but to support our country's future success. We need that next generation of artists, professionals, advisors and academics. So on to the Supreme Award. It comes with a prize of $10,000 and it goes to the person who's best exemplifies the award's overall excellence criteria. The Aotearoa panel said that this person merits the award because of the empathy they display as a teacher, combined with outstanding pedagogical understanding and creativity. They have a positivity and a love of learning that gets learners excited. This person also plays a significant leadership role in the institution, as well as having an international impact. So ladies and gentlemen, and whānau, the Prime Minister's Supreme Award goes to Dr. Latika Samalia, the Department of Anatomy at the School of Biomedical Sciences at the University of Otago. So enormous congratulations to you, Dr. Samalia.
O mai ngosonja e na nei mani mai solea vai ko na totovi ongo Prime Minister's Supreme Award. E te tuakana. Kua riro ia koe tēnei hōhore nui, nā runga no I tō kaha ki te whakarite I tētahi huarahi ako e tika ana mō ngā tauira kātahi, kārua mo te kaupapa anō hoki. Mei kore ngā tāngata pēnā I a koe I te tari kiko kiko, ka raruraru ngā tauira, Māori mai, Pasifika mai, Pākehā mai. Vinaka wakalevu no mungungu matua. Congratulations, Latika, on this outstanding achievement. And I hope I've given you enough time to collect your thoughts, because now I'd like to give you another chance to speak. but this time as the Prime Minister's Supreme Award winner. Now, following your speech, Alexia will be singing the song Puri Anei in recognition of the achievements of all the awardees here today. But if your band of supporters behind you would also like to sing you a song, then they're more than welcome to as well. Take it away, Latika, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. I never ever in my life thought that I would get anything like this. I'm overwhelmed, especially because I'm also very humbled. I'm in a great group of people who have received the awards. I'm actually shaking. I wish we were in a different situation. I wish I could have been jumping up and down together with every one of you. But hey, thank you so much. Thank you to my colleagues again. I mean, it's worthwhile. I'm saying it to my husband. Thank you to my sisters who have joined from Melbourne, my children. Dipti and Priya, your mama's made it. But just in the last minute, I would like to say I will continue to foster and mentor my young colleagues and to impart my knowledge to them and to teach the way I teach our tertiary students. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to the next phase of education and challenging myself to continue to do a great job. Thank you. Whoa.
E te hau, waiata mai koutou katoa. Horo ia e te ua. Whiti whiti ia e te rā. Mahea ake ngā raru makere ana ngā here erere wairua erere ki ngā ao o te rangi whiti whiti a e te rā. Mahea ake ngā o raru raru. Makere ana ngā here. Makere ana ngā here.
Thanks, Alexia. Your parents are right after all, Latika. As part of the honour of being the recipient of the Supreme Award, you're also tasked with being the caretaker of Rauaroha. A korowai woven specifically to recognise the mana of the Supreme Award and the person who receives it. Rauaroha will be placed on your shoulders whenever we can get it out of Auckland and whenever COVID-19 restrictions allow it to happen. You'll become the kaitiaki of Rauaroha until the next awards ceremony in 2022. And just quietly, on a personal note, I'm really excited that Rauaroha will be finally making its way home back to Otago after a 2-year hiatus at Auckland University. As recipients of the Tertiary Teaching Excellence Award here today, you are all now members of the Ako Aotearoa Academy. And the aim of this group is to foster, promote and support the development of excellent tertiary teachers throughout New Zealand. I now ask Professor Mark Wilson, President of the Academy Executive, to say a few words on behalf of the Academy.
Kia ora rā tū, Karen. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. It's a fantastic opportunity to be a part of this celebration of not just good teaching, but the importance of both good teaching and the effort that people like you go to make it happen, particularly at this most bizarre of times. I have the pleasure of joining this party to represent the Ako Aotearoa Academy of Tertiary Teaching Excellence. Thanks to the introduction today, you know that something like 230 plus people have been where you are today, and every one of you is now a member of that academy. Now, words like academy and excellence may inspire fear in your hearts. They may sound elitist potentially, but the reality is that the Academy is a community of learning and teaching, practitioners who share many things. We share a love of teaching, we share a love of disruption, we love the challenge of facilitating contexts in which diverse learners can learn. If people don't learn, then teaching, I don't think, can be said to have happened. I think everyone resonated with you, Latika, when you said that there have been times, perhaps often, when you've worried whether or not you're a good teacher. This is something you will share with every other member of the Academy and likely with all of your fellow awardees today. You share this with your fellow Academy members, as well as that aspiration to excellence. And that's what membership of the Academy really means. It means that aspiration to be excellent, whilst knowing that that is an incredibly difficult thing to achieve. Today's awardees also demonstrate the diversity of what good learning and teaching can look like. We have people representing multiple different disciplines. We have people from five different institutions, and believe me, there is now going to be a real, you've got a sense of the kind of gang warfare that occurs between Te Whare-Wānanga o Ōtako and Te Whare-Wānanga o Tamaki Makaurau. And today, Oti has brought home the goods. So we're going to be hearing a lot more about that. We've also heard the names of several other members of the Academy. Well, just two examples, Jane Venus, Maxine Ontario. Jane and Maxine embody what this recognition means. They didn't treat their award like an epitaph on a tombstone or a line on a CV, but something to live up to, something to aspire even further to. And that's the challenge that I want to lay down for you today. Is this award a line on a promotion application, or is it going to inspire you to further disruptive teaching in the service of learning and student success? Or maybe in years to come, it's going to be your names that awardees mention and thank for the support that they have provided. On a personal note, I hope to see Richard Lobb's portfolio sometime. Karen has really talked it up. And there are some really amazing ones that have preceded it. Marty Vreed, the 2010 Prime Minister's Supreme Award winner, was a lecturer in printmaking, and he made the paper on which his portfolio was printed. In 2002, Supreme Award winner Welby Ings did something similar. And both of those people have gone on to make an incredibly diverse and potent impact on tertiary learning and teaching. So for now, welcome to that Academy, welcome to the whānau. We look forward, under different circumstances, of potentially joining with you in person and congratulating you for what this award has meant in terms of the effort that you've gone into to get to this point. And also just to welcome you into the community of people who you can support and who will support you. So watch this space, we will be in touch, and congratulations. Ngā mihi mai oha.
Thank you, Mark. Te Oti, Diane, Tim, Brendan, Hannah, Richard, Nick, Latika and Hazel. If you're like the rest of the members of the Ako Academy, I know that you don't do all that you do for any such accolades like this. You do it for the love of transforming the lives of your students and your communities. But you've done it unselfishly and over a long period of time that you should be acknowledged in this way. Kia toa koe heiti kotahi harikoa mo te iwi. May you be triumphant so that all of us can rejoice, albeit for a small amount of time. I also know that sitting with some of you today or watching live around the world are your whānau, your family, your friends, your colleagues and your students. They've no doubt been instrumental in your success thus far. And at this time, I think it's important that we acknowledge all those important people in the same way that they acknowledged you. So please, ho mai te piki paki paki, let's give out your supporters a big round of applause as well.
Lovely, sis.
That's enough from me today. I think we're running on time. My heartiest congratulations to all of our 2021 National Tertiary Teaching Excellence Award recipients. I really do look forward to seeing you all in person sometime very soon. I now ask May to sing our himene and for Joe to close us off for the afternoon with a karakia. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
He honore, he karoria, maungaranga ki te whenua. Whakaro, paie, ki ngā tangata katoa. Ake, 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 amine, te atua, te piringa, tōku oranga.
Tēnā koe, Mai. Hoi anō, ko tautunu ki te whakamutunga o tā tātou hui i te ahi nei. Nā reire, tuatahi kia tukunai au he mihi kia koe Karen, ko koe tēnā i noho mai nā i kona, ki te whakahari a tātou mahi i pai te rere, i ngā wari te rere o a tātou mahi te ahi nei, tēnā rau atu koe. Oti rā koe, Latika, koutou mā ko ngā kaiwhiwhi o te rangi nei, ka nui te mihi atu ki a koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. Oti rā, me mihi anō ki ngā tāngata i kuhu mai ai ki roti tā tātou hui, mai ngā tōpito e whā o te ao, mai ia kuima, ia koroma, ia hinema, ia tamama. Mai ngā whānau katoa, ngā whānau tautoko. Mai te hunga tuku taonga, tainoa ki te hunga i whakanuia. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Ko te karakia, tēnei ka whakairi i te ke te kōrero, ka whakahoki ai ngā Māori i tīkina atu ai. Kia pūmau ai tēnei kaupapa, kia noho haumaru ai hoki ngā iwi katoa. Tūturu ka whakamau ai kia tīnā, tīnā. Haumie, huie, taiki.
Taiki.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Kua mutu tonu.
Congratulations, everyone.
Okay, a big round of applause for everyone. Yeehaw! Thank you, the behind the scenes folk too, Christina, Justin, Catherine.
Kia ora, Joe.
Jill.
Well, kia ora. Kia ora, everyone. Great job.
Kia ora, Helen. Kia ora te Oti. I thought you were going to sing us a solo there, an aria.
We thought about it, but we thought we might blow the Zoom out. So
Not now. There's a good time now.
I went for my cousin. So it's good to see you, Joe.
Hello to Jane when you see her.
Yeah. Hey. Kia ora, Karen. How's the baby?
He's good. Can you see me? I can't see my screen. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, he's good. He's hopefully not being a pain to his papa. He hasn't slept all day.
Richard.
I don't know. I think he knew something was up.
Yeah.
Beautiful job, Karen.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
beautiful.
It was fun.